Hi, everyone. We're live. Welcome to Conscious and Connected during COVID-19, a project between Integrative Counsel, which is me, Dana Wood, and Jennifer Carey right there, we're starting with our beloved friends and inviting people even beyond our circle who want to share a gift to feel free to email us at hello@integrativecounsel.org to be here and be a part of this. And I'm going to hand it over to Jen, who's going to introduce our amazing guest today.
Today we have Caireann Frasca, and our audience will soon learn what I've experienced with Caireann, both personally and professionally, and that is she is a light. And she has a very exciting gift that I can't wait to share with all of you. But as you know, before we do that, we have our guests do something simple. That's sarcastic. Please, Caireann Frasca, introduce yourself. Tell us about you, however you want to do it, within 4 minutes.
Okay. It is a tall order. There's an old quote about someone, it was an author from a couple hundred years ago saying, I wish I had time to write a shorter letter. That's the kind of thing when you're trying to boil it down. So I'm Caireann. I am a writer. I teach courses around the Celtic and Arthurian, Avalonian goddess mysteries. I also do oracle readings and generally just a student of spirit and the old myths and legends of Britain, all of the British Isles, Ireland, the Celtic lands. That's my area that I love and I'm very passionate about. And what I love about it is that they have so much to teach us as modern women and modern people in general. They are very modern, even though these legends are in some cases, 1,000 years old. You have very important, timeless lessons that we can all learn and put into place into our own lives. So initially I was, captivated by the magic and mystery of all of it. And I still am, but what really excites me is that there is this through line that goes from the ancient times all the way to now and into the future. And that's something that we can really gain a lot of spiritual nourishment and wisdom from. So that's me in a nutshell.
Your passion of these Celtic women and the archetypes and all the lessons and wisdom that you gain from them, and you combine that with your passion of writing and reading, I must say, as you can see the books, and that's only one bookshelf, audience. That's only one bookshelf, but
one of 5.
That combined with spiritual wisdom. Oh goodness, I think the list goes on, but I know that it excites you and you are in your flow right now, being able to bring that wisdom to audiences and inspire people with that. And yeah.
Thanks.
And I think it's so amazing that you're tapping into the power of myth and symbolism that you mentioned is absolutely timeless, and the wisdom that we can gain in these uncertain times from these really deep collective archetypes. I'm so excited for
it. So true. That's why, I love the, there's so much power in archetypes, and they're archetypes for a reason, because they are, I think of a human spirit as a gem, and there's many facets to that gem, and all of these archetypes, even in the individual, you've got all these different facets within you. As a collective, we have all these different facets. And so that's what makes it sort of universal and timeless, is that we really can relate. Even if the story took place, as I say, 1,000 years ago, you can still relate to it, because it's it's a part of our very soul. So yeah.
I love that imagery of a gem and the facets, and that's
it too.
Great description of the archetypes is so beautiful. So what is keeping you centered, grounded, conscious, and connected during this time when things feel very uncertain?
Well, a lot of things. I'm very busy with writing for my courses, so that keeps me occupied and it keeps me in that space of a little bit removed, I guess you would say, from removed is the wrong word. It's really more about sort of tuning into the bigger picture, I guess, and not getting so caught up in what is happening every day. I really do not engage with the news at all. I read some headlines every morning. I allow myself, just to know what's going on. But I cannot, I just can't be connected with that energy because that's the root of so much anxiety. And we all know that it's fear is a trigger for us as humans. So that's going to get us sucked in right away, and we're going to hang on to that, and it just, fear breeds more fear and anxiety, and it's just not helpful. There's really not much we can do right now, the average person, except follow the guidelines and stay home, keep ourselves safe, keep our loved ones safe by not placing ourselves and them in harm's way by potentially spreading this. So it's really about, like I say, keeping that bigger picture in mind and understanding what you do or don't do in this case is potentially saving people's lives. And I know that can be very difficult for people who are more extroverted and who get their energy from being around a lot of other people all the time. I really feel for them because this has got to be just torture. However, I think if we keep our minds on what is actually the greater good and what this is actually doing for the collective, that keeps me calm and centered most of the time. I have my moments like everybody else, but it definitely helps. And just, continuing to practice meditation, quiet time in nature is really important. I'm lucky enough to live near a very nice little park that has some running streams and even a couple of little waterfalls. And so going there and just being amongst the trees and nature and the birds, and it puts you in that place of, there's bigger things going on here, and we're all a part of this intricate network of the planet. And we need to do what we need to do right now to keep ourselves as calm as possible. So nature, meditation, a lot of reading, a lot of getting engaged in stories that kind of, we all need an escape now and then. So I love a story that kind of takes me somewhere else for a little while. That is very nourishing as well. So all of that is helping.
Okay. So really remaining conscious of what you sort of take in during this time. So regarding news, being aware of what you're consuming, and being conscious of these things keep coming up in almost all of our interviews, is some sort of meditation practice and some sort of being in nature. And it sounds like all of those are helping during this time.
Yeah, and I think practicing a sense of gratitude as well for all that we do have. Yes, it's an inconvenience to stay home all the time. Yes, it can feel lonely and frustrating, and and the not knowing when it's going to end is very difficult. We like to have a plan. We like to know what's going to happen. This is a huge lesson in staying present and being in the moment and trying to just take it breath by breath. And I feel like if people can really embrace that instead of fighting it, that's where the real growth is going to happen. And I think that's where this potential paradigm shift can actually happen, where we all step back and say, what are we doing? Do we really need to be living this way? Are we even happy living this way? What needs to really change in order for us to be more content, less stressed, and in order for the world to be, a healthier place? So that's a silver lining in all of it, I think. And depending on how, willing you are to go there, there can be, to bring up the jewels again, I mean, there's just treasure in those dark places if we allow ourselves to really sort of sit with it and get comfortable with those uncomfortable thoughts.
Wow, Caireann, thank you for going deep as you do so well. You do so well. And, you know, again, these themes that come up, the idea that we don't have control over a lot, and how you bring up these things that we have control over, like keeping ourselves safe, keeping our families safe. But I love this other idea that we also have control over reevaluating our lives. And we can take this opportunity to do that, this pause of reflection. And there's some lessons in there. There's some gems that our everyday lives kind of distract us from, but now suddenly some of those distractions have faded away.
Right. Which can be really scary because it allows these sort of things that live in the shadow to creep up on us. And, you know, these are the shadow. These are all the things about ourselves that we, you know, don't like, or we're ashamed of, or we, you know, don't want to look at, don't want to think about. But again, if we can find that courage to sort of make friends with those things, we become more fully integrated people. And we're not letting those little shadow aspects of ourselves drive the bus anymore. We're more in control, but it's a collective of all these parts of ourselves that, you know, we can have a healthier attitude about things. We can have a healthier approach to our lives. But it does take a lot of, you know, it's not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of courage and, you know, willingness to really just dive in. And it's not always easy.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Worth it beyond belief. May
Yeah.
not be the easiest road, but in the end, it probably is. But it's worth what you have to go through.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of deep dives,
Yep.
I am so ready to dive into your gift and offering. So, Caireann, tell us what you bring to us today.
Thank you.
I am going to share a screen, so give me just a moment, ladies, to continue to understand the tech piece, which
Bless you, Dana, for doing that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's okay. You got it. You're almost there, Dana. There she is.
Okay.
Yay. Very nice. So as you can see, what I'm offering today is an oracle reading. These are the Mists of Avalon oracle cards and the Celtic Blessing card in the center, which was a gift from my dear friend Jennifer. And what I did, I asked for some insight and wisdom around the current global situation, what we can do to create and cultivate a positive mindset and attitude while we are experiencing this together, and then what the likely outcome will be from there. So the first card at the top, so this is actually a spread that I created based on the Trinity knot, which is a very important symbol. That's also called the Triskele in Celtic symbolism. So the top of the knot is the first card. Then we have the second one at the bottom left and the third one on the bottom right. And the card in the middle is the circle that goes through the triangle, which really just kind of brings everything together. So that's the layout. So the first card that I pulled was Camelot, and this was the answer to the question of what the energy is around the current global situation. And Camelot, anybody who's familiar with Arthurian legend knows this was the kingdom that was ruled by King Arthur. Things didn't end so well. And really, in this case, Camelot symbolizes the world right now. And we are in this sort of, we are between the known and the unknown. And we have an opportunity now. So when I first pulled this card and sat with it for a little while, I kind of saw the castle walls are crumbling a little bit. It's not wholly intact. And this is what we're really living through right now. There's a paradigm that we've been living in the Western world that is not sustainable. It's a system where, it benefits a very few and many suffer. In the old stories, there's a very important thread that runs through, which is about the sacred contract between the king and the goddess of the land. And they actually, in ancient Ireland, the kings actually had to symbolically marry the land and commit to being its steward, its protector, and to promise to take care of all the people. The land, if you think about this, you think about Mother Earth. This is the goddess of the land. And so the king is making this pact to basically treasure and support her and the people and all living things that lived upon it. King Arthur's mistake was breaking that contract. He couldn't fulfill it, which is why when we look at Guinevere as a symbol of the divine feminine and King Arthur as a symbol of the divine masculine, he basically betrayed that trust. And that, a lot of it gets put on Guinevere and Lancelot for having the affair, and that caused the breaking of the round table, and that was the end of that. It was really, the seeds of it were planted before Arthur's priorities got a little out of whack, similar to our culture today, and how, at least in the Western world, our priorities are all askew, and that's the culture we've been living in. So it's not all bad news, though, because we have this is like this pregnant moment where I think of us as sort of back in the womb. We're in this space of the in-between. We are not yet what we're able to become as a world culture, but we're not the old one anymore either. This is an uncomfortable place to be, but there is so much potential there for a positive new paradigm that we can usher in that will be more egalitarian and more sustainable for everyone. You look at what's going on with the environment and how quickly it is healing with, human activity and pollution and things like that have just basically come to a halt. The planet has healed so much more quickly than it would have otherwise. And so we see how by making different choices, we really can bring in something better. So that's what that is all about. In terms of what we can do to support this new, birthing this new paradigm, it's really connecting to the second card symbolizes the other world. So in Celtic mythology, the other world is also the underworld. It's the land of the dead, but it's also the land where spirit resides, fairy. It is a magical place where life is eternal, full of abundance. And, it's full of also light and dark, just like our world is. But we need to tune in to that sort of higher spirituality and tune into what is going to help us harmonize within ourselves and also without. So I think of that old expression, as above, so below, as within, so without. That's what this is about. It's integrating the spiritual and the physical to bring something new and better in. So all of us can heal the anima mundi, which is Latin for the soul of the world, through sort of balancing these energies within ourselves, the masculine and feminine, the spiritual and the physical. We need to bring things back into balance as best we can. And that starts with us as individuals. And then finally, the likely outcome from all of this. So the third card is Lancelot. And Lancelot is, to go back to the beginning, Lancelot was Arthur's best friend who had an affair with Guinevere, Arthur's wife and queen. this was accredited, like I said, to the breaking of the round table was attributed to this. However, Guinevere was a queen of the other world, and the other world operates in very different rules than we do in our human world. And so when she saw that Arthur was not going to be able to fulfill the contract between herself as representing the goddess of the land and himself as the king, it's completely fine in the other world for her to seek out another potential king who would be able to fill that contract. That's part of her job as a representative of the other world, as a queen of the other world. And so her choice, yes, it brought about the fall of Camelot, but she was doing what she was supposed to do in terms of fulfilling her role and her destiny. And from this, Lancelot is a heroic character. He's kind of portrayed both ways. His heroism is, the stuff of legend in the Grail quests. We can become those heroes of our own story if we follow what came through for us in card number 2, which is really integrating spirit into our lives, more operating from that place in the world rather than from this place of ego and physical, what we can see and touch. It's really about tapping into something that is very powerful that we as yet have not fully accessed, just generally speaking. The phrase that came through to me when this card came up was, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." It is up to us to be the heroes of this story. And this is where, we do have this potential to really bring in this new world. And I think the energy of Lancelot as an archetype can help us lead the way with that, tapping into that sense of devotion. He was utterly devoted to Guinevere. He was also devoted to the Grail quest, which was really a seeking out of the divine feminine that had been lost. That's what the Grail as a chalice is a representative of the divine feminine. So we need to sort of become the best versions of ourselves now. We need to let the petty stuff fall away. We need to keep our eyes on the prize, as it were, and go for what is really going to bring this positive energy and progressive motion into the world. I really do believe that those seeds are being planted and will be planted. I hope that we start seeing the fruits of that in my lifetime. I don't know, but it is my hope. And then the fourth card was the Earth Blessing card, which is what came through there is that we need to be grounded in the knowledge that we are all part of the earth. She is us. We are her. We need to take care of her and continue to let her heal and just live in more harmony. So we've got a huge opportunity right now. And is it the Chinese symbol that's the same for crisis and opportunity? Yeah. That's where we are. And I think we absolutely have the potential to overcome and create something better in the wake of all of this.
Wow, Caireann, thank you. How inspiring. Notice I was taking notes.
Oh,
I can't believe you're like so tapped in to all of knowledge between these archetypes, history, and the mythology, and just whew. So I wrote it on a notes because it really supports. So we are the ones, we are the heroes in this, becoming the best versions of ourselves, seeing the silver lining, the environment, looking at our priorities again, treating this like a new birth, a new paradigm, and, harmonizing the spirit and the physical, harmonizing the masculine and the feminine. It's funny, a lot of these conversations Dana and I have had. So I'm like, Caireann, were you in on those conversations? No, it feels like you were.
We're all tapping into the same thing.
So I love it. Fulfilling role in destiny. We can talk about that for like ages, but I'll just leave it as we're the ones. Work on ourselves, be the best versions of ourselves, take care of Mother Earth. Anything you want to add, Dana?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I am just blown away by the power of symbolism and imagery, right? And the fact that you were able, I'm like, what? She drew these? Like, that is like, I'm like, it was so perfectly suited, and you were able to say so many layers of meaning within a pretty short amount of time. I mean, I feel like we could just rewatch this and continue to take meaning from it for years or lifetimes, right? So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's an honor.
And it's an honor to have you on here, Caireann. And how can people take your classes? How can people get more of Caireann Frasca and the unbelievable tapped in source?
So the best way right now is my Facebook page, which I think, are you going to have a link? Okay. So it's a public page and you can find me there. I am working on revising my website, so it's probably not the best place to go at the moment. And then my courses, I am running 2 at the moment, and soon to be offering a 3rd in the next couple of months. One is Into the Heart of Avalon, which we dive very deep into all the spiritual paths that cross in Avalon, and a lot of the archetypes that are part of that energetic place. And then the Celtic Almanac, which is a monthly course that focuses on a different goddess each month. There's ritual, there's meditation, there's history and myth and symbolism and all that good stuff. And the next one I'll be launching is about the goddesses in Celtic and Avalonian legend who actually can help us with our creative endeavors. So that is coming. Nothing out there yet for that, but there will be soon. And you can find those courses on mysteryschoolofthegoddess.net.
Okay. We'll put all that in the description so people, and I'll also get, again, the name of the deck for people. So I'll put that in the description as well.
They're wonderful, these decks.
Yeah. Thank you again, Caireann.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
It was such a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.